There we go. Now we can get started. All right, you guys, welcome back to our Wednesday call here at eXp Family Tree. This is an open call to anybody, whether they're at eXp or not, doesn't matter. The reason we call it the eXp Family Tree call is because this is where I live stream it to our 9,500 agents. And you can watch live stream anytime you want via that workplace group. If you're not with eXp, you can find a recording of this out on my YouTube channel within 24 hours of today. But for those of you that are joining live, super excited to have you. What I would love to do to start the call is if you could chat in the chat box. Are you growing a team? Have you had a team? Do you want to have a team of any sort? Some of you are within the eXp space, and I know you're already thinking about doing it a little bit differently because you work with me, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. But some of you might be still doing it in a traditional way. By the way, my husband does that, kind of a hybrid. So the cool thing is I can talk about all of these things. And for those of you that don't know me, I think it's important to probably share a little bit about my background. In 2012, I had the opportunity to run a Keller Williams office in the Minneapolis market. We became the #1 office in our state, selling over 4,000 sales a year. We had over 40 real estate teams. I completely immersed myself in the team building model. At that time, Keller Williams was pioneering team building, and that traditional model was the only one really that was out there that worked. After growing that office for the 6 years that I did, I went and grew 27 teams across the country in expansion in a whole bunch of different ways. I then started a coaching company and coached many broker owners and team leaders. My husband throughout this time has been growing real estate teams in multiple states and more of a traditional sense. So I've been watching him do that. And of course, kind of being alongside that process. And today I have over 230 real estate partners across the country, many of which are growing their own teams in a new way. So that's me in a nutshell. Maybe that's why you want to listen to what I have to say. I don't know, maybe you still don't want to, but at least I can bring you some different perspectives from the last, 13 years of my career. Hey, Cody, nice to meet you. Cody's one of the guys that I'm partnering with, and he's doing a team in a new way for sure. I just lost him. Hopefully he'll jump back on. Okay, so let me read your chat so I can see where everyone is at. Sarah just started a small team. Awesome. Sherry, we have a local team of 11 so far. Congrats. Jamie is liking information on forming a small team and how to apply it to lending. All the same thing, Jamie. So this will be helpful to you. Sherry says the biggest challenge is how to support teammates from other states. Yes, that is. And I do it. So we can talk about that. Angie is attracting people to her coaching and leadership by giving them, things while they come into eXp. By the way, that is a team in a new way. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Sarah says she's in South Carolina. I did, but I still have no idea what I'm doing team-wise. I love it. So a lot of us have built teams and we still don't know what we're doing. A lot of us are doing it and we're still like, are we doing it the right way? It feels like it's constantly changing and there's tons of ways we can be doing it. And one of the biggest challenges is like looking at how other people do it and then constantly questioning ourselves, are we doing it the way we should be doing it? And so here is what I will premise this entire call with. It doesn't matter. There is no, in my opinion, there is no right or wrong way to grow a real estate team, group, network, collaborative organization, whatever you want to call it. The right way is the right way that's going to be for you. Period. Now the numbers have to work. You do have to know your numbers. And yet if you try to fit yourself into a round hole and you're a square peg, it's not going to work even if it's profitable. And I've helped people go through that process many times. I'm going to tell you really briefly about myself and why I got really interested in teams, because I think this is going to help you guys understand that. Which is, I started in real estate. I became a top producer. I loved selling real estate. I ended up being one of those agents that was a top producer, but I still loved to help like the new agents that came into my office. I was in a traditional firm in Minneapolis and the broker was always like, Cari, can you let people shadow you at your open houses? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I loved it. She asked me because I actually loved doing it. And I always said yes. And there were a lot of top producers that just didn't have an interest in doing that. At that time, back, in 2002, 3, teams were not really a thing, at least in our market and particularly at that brokerage. So there wasn't really a team and there wasn't even a formal mentorship program. That was kind of her job as the broker and leader of the office, but she would leverage agents to help each other, which was smart. I would sit in the, basement of that office and I would do a presentation for new agents occasionally. And, she gave me a little reduction on my office rent to help out the agents. And that was kind of the arrangement. But so very early on, I always felt like I like to share my knowledge. I like to share what I knew how to do. It's just my personality. It's not everybody's, but it was mine. She identified that. And I started to become kind of like influential simply just because I was a producer and people wanted to learn from me and I liked helping people. So I had that personality. But I can tell you that for the first 10 years of my life, no one was telling me I should grow a team and no one knew how to tell me to. In fact, they were even telling me not to even get an admin because of how much work and stress and liability and problems it caused. Because at that time, that's just the mentality. So during those 11 years, I raised 2 boys and I had a very poor quality of life. I worked all the time. I had no leverage. The kids were in the office with me all the time. I was bribing them with Dairy Queen cones, you name it. I was making a lot of money, but I did not have any sort of work-life integration because I was doing 60, 70 sales a year and I had 0 leverage. I also did a ton of short sales during the downturn. And of course, doing 40 or 50 of those was like doing 100 or 150 transactions because we had to send, 80-page faxes 7 times before we could get it to go through. So, and no admin to do it. So that's really where I stepped into the team leader role of Keller Williams with this massive passion to learn team building, because I knew that if I could help other agents figure out leverage so they could have a better life, like that was something I would have wanted. So I took my personal experience and I learned everything I could, and I helped people figure out how to build teams within that traditional model. Husband, wife teams, small teams, big teams, it didn't matter, but what was going to fit them. But of course, using that model because that's what I was trained to. And that was really the only model in the market that was proven to work. So fast forward 10 years later, I became very uninspired with that model, traditionally speaking, simply because not because having a traditional team is bad. My husband still has one, but simply because it's a hamster wheel. And I was coaching, people were paying me thousands of dollars to coach them on how to avoid a problem that was unavoidable. And number one, teams are not as profitable as people think. So if you're doing team building to make a whole bunch of money, probably not a good idea. If you are doing a team to find an exit strategy, I'm going to be real honest, probably not a good idea. It's not an exit strategy. If you're building a team because you like to help other people, you have a lot of good training and coaching skills, you really feel called to leadership, you do want to have a little bit of leverage in your day-to-day, you might want to get yourself a little bit out of, parts of the transaction, then you should do a team. And if you really want to build wealth through, your leadership and influence, you should consider a model like EXP. And I'm just being very frank with you. It's literally why I'm here. And I don't say that because I want to recruit you to EXP. I don't care if you ever call me again. I literally am saying that because I believe it to the core of my being, and I'll explain why. So my husband building 2 teams, one in Minnesota, one here in North Idaho for many years now, having one here in North Idaho that also services Washington as an example, he's been on that hamster wheel. I have many of you that I work with that, felt that way. Like, well, what happens when I pour all my heart, soul, coaching, training, leads, database, systems, everything into these people, and then they no longer want to be on a traditional team because they're ready to fly on their own, which, by the way, if you do a good job, they should want to do that. That means you did a good job. It's just like parenting. Do you want your kids to stay dependent on you for the rest of your life? If they are, you maybe didn't do such a good job, right? I mean, it's the same idea, but the problem in the traditional real estate space has been that was the way we continued to make money. So it created this monster of us wanting to retain. By the way, if you look up the definition of the word retain, it actually is to cage in and to hold back. That is not what as leaders. Oh no, Cody's like, oh crap, I've used that word before. Me too, you guys. I used to talk about retaining your agents like in freaking webinars. And then I read this and it mortified me. But you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And that's okay. We're all doing the best until we know something better. So, but really what we figure out is like, okay, wait, why are we trying to quote unquote retain these agents? Well, because the model is such that if we don't retain them, they leave us, we lose a very good portion of our income as leaders, which is a problem because we're taking on all the expenses and trying to pay our own bills too. And secondarily, we just trained our direct competitor because in any other model, that's what they become. Now, look, on teams, we're all direct competitors with each other, but it's different because we have collaboration and vested interest in helping each other out, right? And together we can achieve more. But that situation of a traditional team is just simply not permanent, right? People want to grow, change, do their own team. They might move locations. They might decide they want to do something different in their life. And so we end up as team leaders on a hamster wheel, whether we like it or not. So that's the part of this that my husband and I were talking about, which was very uninspiring, is number one, as a team leader, everybody thinks you make a ton of money off of other agents and you have this great life. That is a myth. I'm going to debunk immediately. If you're somebody that's thinking about being on a team and you're watching this, please don't think that, because it is absolutely not true. The team leader doubles the amount of hours they have to work because they usually still have to sell real estate to pay the bills until the team becomes so successful that they don't have to anymore. But then they're still replacing their entire workload with making sure that the team is successful. And so they're never working less hours. Most of the time they're working more hours. They're doing two things and they have a lot of risk, from 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 to $40,000 a month risk, so that you as the team leader can have the things that you need. And so when they receive a 50% or a 40% or whatever this percentage is of your particular income, it's because you virtually have no expenses or risk and you're paying for it somehow. You're either going to pay for it yourself direct for all of those solutions and staff and support and training and coaching, or you're going to go pay it to your team leader and it's going to come out of a form of a split. You pick, because you can't be successful without any expenses. You have a split with yourself or a team. So there's no right or wrong about this. It's about what's the best fit for you, right? So this is what I'm talking. I'm first going down the path of the traditional team, and then I'm gonna shift in a minute. We're gonna open this up for conversation. So just give me about 10 more minutes here, and I'll get to my full point. So that's the concept of the team. So the team leader struggles with, I'm not really that profitable. I could just be selling real estate myself and probably making more money and have less risk. But at the same time, I'd like to have some sort of exit strategy. I'd like to have some sort of leverage. And so that's why they feel passionate about being a team leader, right? And they typically do want to help other agents. They typically are influencers. They're typically people look up to. That's how they get into this in the first place. So this is an outlet for them to do that. They either do that or they go become a broker owner. And that's a whole nother story that we'll talk about a different day. So, but it's not solving problems. It's not solving the problem of actually having an exit strategy. And it's not solving the problem of getting you fully out of real estate, making the income that you want to make, because you have to grow a pretty large team doing a lot of transactions for it to actually equate to what you would make if you just went and sold a couple houses a month. And that is just the plain truth when you look at it from a profitability perspective. And then number two, you're adding more time. So you're actually making less money and spending more time. And now you are trading your competitors if you don't have some other next level for these agents. Okay. So that's the problem with the traditional team model. So people were paying me and saying, these are all the problems. And I was looking at the model and saying, I don't think I can solve them. You're just not in it. What's the alternative here? So that's what got me thinking, and that's what got me looking into different opportunities. And that's how I find myself at EXP. My husband brought his entire team to EXP. It has been more profitable. He's been able to reduce splits to the agents, so they were able to make a win. We make money in 3 different ways, where we used to only make money in one. You know, he sells maybe 12 houses a year to stay in kind of in the industry and in the market to stay relevant. And we're able to make a very good living off of the team. But we've changed things because we're in a different model. So let me just break that down a little bit for you, because I'm on the whole idea of this traditional team thing. So what my husband was able to do is keep most of all of the same value proposition: office space, 2 staff members, you know, helping with TC marketing, of course, just all the signs, the listing expenses, the coaching and training of the team, the database, the CRM. He did cut back a little bit on the leads, simply because we were able to do some things differently with EXP that we weren't able to do before. And he really knew the market was going to be shifting and wanted to start teaching the agents to become more heavy on listings versus just chasing around a bunch of cold buyer leads. So he did reduce that a little bit, explained why, found new solutions, and began implementing training and coaching around that. And all the agents were very excited to move to that next level. That would obviously be something that is, I think, advantageous to do, but not something you have to do. So he did cut a little bit of expenses on that one expense, but that's all he did differently. But he reduced the split, so the agents on the team only pay him 30%. So they're keeping 70% of their transactions, no matter where the lead comes from. It doesn't matter. We're not nitpicking that. We're just making it smooth and simple for staff, for efficiency, and to eliminate any gray area, because that tends to happen when you have multiple splits. By the way, if it's your lead, it's this split. If it's this lead, it's this split. The problem with that is, how often does a lead come in multiple different places? And now we have an argument about where did it originate from? And it ends up becoming just a point of contention. Mm-hmm. And if you want to have good relationships with your agents, try to reduce those as much as possible, just from my perspective. So why were we able to go from a 50 or a 40 or a 45% split to 30% within the EXP model? Because number one, the brokerage EXP pays us to recruit and help our agents be in production. That's the number one thing. They literally pay us revenue share when our agents, produce. It's not thousands of dollars, but if you have a good sized team, it can be. So let's just think about this. If you're a half cap, let's say you're a standard team and you have, 8 agents on your team, you're getting paid $1,400 times 8, which is just what, $10,000. So you're getting an additional $10,000 from the agent before you ever get a split. Plus you're getting your splits, plus you're getting, stock on every transaction that your team does. So here's where a lot of our money has been able to be made. And we knew it would happen, is that if you have 8 agents and let's say you're doing, this might be high, but just for ease, you're doing 100 transactions, every single split that you get, every transaction out of 100 transactions, you're getting something, either all 100% of your own or 30 or 40 or 50% of your team, whatever it is, you're getting a portion of every transaction that every agent on your team does. If you take 5% of every commission check and you get discounted stock at 10%, I'm just going to attest to you that this adds up to a lot. We have 6 figures of stock sitting in our account right now after 2 years in this business because of that. Okay. Also, you get paid $400 of stock on every person that you bring to the company in their first transaction. So you're getting paid to grow your team. So let's say you're an agent that has had a team for 5 years. And over the 5 years, you've recruited 25, 30 agents because you've had the hamster wheel. That's very common, by the way. So don't beat yourself up if that's true. That's happened to us. It happens to us. You have to recruit so many people because if people are leaving, you have to keep recruiting people to grow your team, to continue to maintain a team that does a certain amount of business and pays your bills. So over 5 years, if you're recruiting 5 new people for 5 years, that's 25 people you've recruited to your team in 5 years. I can just tell you right now, if you recruited 25 people to EXP, you'd probably be making $5,000. This is just minimally over a 5-year period of time, very conservatively, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month for just doing what you would have done. Even if those people are no longer on your team, you'd still be getting paid revenue share if you did a good job of integrating them into EXP. Because no longer do we have to worry about, training our competitors. If we can keep them in our world in EXP, we want them to be successful. We're throwing a party when they graduate from the team. We're not trying to retain them anymore because we're going to continue to get paid when they leave the team. In fact, our revenue share will double on them, maybe even quadruple. For my husband, he's a mega team. So those agents only have a $4,000 cap. So we're not making that much money in revenue share, but here's the reality is when they graduate, we're making 4 times as much on revenue share instantly. So when we continue to pour into them, it makes sense. And by the way, they're still bringing people into the company, onto the team. The agents are incentivized to help us grow the team. They're telling their friends and co-op agents, hey, you should check our team out. I like it. I think you'd be cool. I liked working with you. They have a reason to do that. And they're starting to see $1,000, $2,000 a month coming into their account. So that's a whole nother thing that is beneficial to them, but it also is beneficial to you as a team leader. So the agent equity program on the transactions that you have with your entire team, whether you do it or not, is going to add up in stock. So in 2 years, my husband and I have been able to have 6 figures in a stock account. About $70,000 of that we could pull out today if we wanted to. Okay. We have been able to make 6 figures in revenue share, a portion of that, not all of it. So in full transparency, let's say probably 30,000 of that, 35, 40,000 of that has been in revenue share from the team. And that means we're recruiting to the team all the time. Some of these people aren't going to join the team, but we have them join us at EXP. So we no longer have to turn people away when we're recruiting either. Oh, okay, you're not a good fit for our team. No problem. We have this other opportunity where you could partner with us at EXP if you don't want to be on a traditional team. And this is what we do for you. So now we have 2 options. So every recruiting appointment, all the things that we're doing, it helps us in 2 different ways, where before it only helped us in 1. And if we turn them away, we turn them away. And when people graduate, we don't have to worry anymore. We continue to make money and have an opportunity to stay in business with them. And it's a benefit to them and us because there's vested interest. It's not just all about us. It's a benefit to them too. And they get it and they understand it, right? So, okay, so the company pays us 6 figures because our team is productive. Company pays us, let's say another $30,000 to grow our team. We'd do it anywhere. And we make profit on the actual splits of the team. Now we have 3 ways we make money, where before at any other brokerage, we had 1. And that was only on the production that we got directly the split from the agent. That is it. Okay. So that's huge. We also ended up saving about $8,000 a year in healthcare. That adds up. Everything adds up. Our agents were able to save that money. So when they came over, wow, I saved money in my healthcare. I have some stock options too. I now have $5,000 sitting in an account. Wow, that's pretty cool. As an agent on the team, I never had that anywhere before. Oh, and I've helped bring a few people to the team. So I make $1,000 a month in revenue share. Oh, that's cool. That's like, it's free to be at EXP because I pay $4,000 to EXP, but I'm making $8,000 in revenue share. I mean, gone are the days that you have to talk to your team members about splitting with the brokerage and splitting with you. You don't have to talk about it anymore. Just talk about splitting with you and the value you bring, because EXP is free at this point. Even if it's an $8,000 cap, I'm telling you, if they take advantage of the healthcare and they take advantage of the stock 5%, after the first year, you can show them that they did not have to pay EXP to be there. Those two things will add up to $8,000. I've never seen it not happen so far, knock on wood, but I'm sure there are instances, but it's very rare. Like, these people are at EXP for free. They're just able to worry about their split with you, and they're building wealth through these other areas. They actually have opportunities in other areas. And now it's like, this is cool. I get to be in this infrastructure. How many times have you felt, chat in the chat box, that you're constantly having to explain to your agents where all their money is going? Well, this goes to the brokerage, and then this goes to me, and then this goes to the, like, it's exhausting. And that is the number one battle that team leaders have at other brokerages, that they feel like they don't know how to explain well. And it's a total barrier for them for recruiting. Okay. The other one is like, I'm trying to sell them so hard on this split and this value proposition, and like, they don't see opportunity. Like, my opportunity at some point is going to be too small for them. Now, when you go on a recruiting appointment, here's the deal. I want you to come on our team because it's a good fit for you now, but we're going to actually throw a party when it's time for you to go fly and do your own thing. How does that conversation, how does that person feel in that type of a conversation besides what you used to be doing, which is like, join my team, stay on my team, join my team, stay on my team? No, no, no. We want to help you be the best version of yourself. And this is going to be a great way for you to start there. But this isn't the end all be all for you. And we're here to help you no matter what your path is. You will recruit a totally different level of talent when you start the conversation out like that. So the things that have happened is, A, we've been able to provide a better opportunity for people on our traditional team, financially speaking, because of all the things I just talked about. We are making more money, even though we're offering them a better financial opportunity. We can start the conversation with them to let them know that this isn't the be all end all, and we can't wait till they're on their own, and we're still going to be here for them. And we no longer have to worry about trying to retain an agent and be stressed out about that, because that is the number one stressor of a team leader is, I need to retain my people. And I'm freaked out all the time about, how do I retain them? How do I give more value? Who's going to leave me? What do I need to do? And it is exhausting, mentally, emotionally, and it takes you off your game of being a great leader. And these are just facts that I've seen over 12 years of coaching people, personally going through it with my husband and other business partners. I've got business partners who are team leaders all over the country. And we no longer have to worry about these things anymore. And it is the most freeing opportunity. Okay. So that's more on the traditional side. So the good news is you have flexibility. You don't have to charge 50-50. You can, you don't have to. Okay. You do have flexibility in terms of what this hybrid type team, traditional team model could look like. You have the traditional team options of the mega icon team, which is a $4,000 cap for your team members. You do have to do 175 transactions or more a year. You do have to have 10 producing / capping agents, meaning they have to hit that quarter cap on your team, plus you as the team leader, in order to qualify to be a mega icon. Okay. That's where you can offer a $4,000 cap to your agents. Or you can be a standard team, which is as long as you're doing $6 million of business and you've got 2 agents, you're a standard team, and it doesn't have to be a big team, and you can still offer that 8,000. The minimum split that you have to charge your agents on either of those is 25%, because they're getting the reduced cap. So you have to split every transaction except for their personal transactions. Okay. So that's just a little bit. If you guys need information on where to find this, go to expenterprise.com. This is your dashboard. Hopefully you all know about this. When you scroll down, it will say the Explore Guide. Click on that, and number 9 shows you all of the financials. And if you scroll a little bit down in number 9, you're going to see a Teams document. They keep it updated all the time. You can click on that, and it's really cool because it will show you all of the different teams at EXP and what those requirements are. Okay. All right, so now let's move to real estate teams in a new way, because we've been talking about more of the traditional model, and the traditional model still exists. It should, it still works. There are people that want to be in that sort of environment. There are leaders that want to provide that type of environment. This is a launching pad. I like to look at the traditional team as a launching pad for you to really grow big wealth in real estate if you can do it in a model like EXPs, because you bring those people on, you train them, you groom them, you pour into them, you let them fly. And when you do that, you're building wealth long-term, and it actually becomes an exit strategy. For the first time ever, real estate team can become an exit strategy. And I can attest to that.
Watch them. What do they do?
Well, having 230 agents, 30 of them being on my husband's traditional team, the other 200 not. And they're coming into us because of the team, but they're not joining the team, or we have connections in different parts of the country. Some of them are from our team members. Some of them are just from our relationships. Those other, that 230 agent revenue share income is somewhere between, depending upon the month, $8,000 and $25,000 a month. And that's a big range. I would say average about $12,000 to $15,000 a month. Most team leaders don't profit that, just realistically, they don't. And so that has been, 2 years of building that, but our team is a kind of a launching pad, right? If you have a team, you're always looking for talent. So if you're always looking for talent, talk to as much talent as you want. And if it isn't a fit for the team, it still can be, I'm guaranteeing you it's still a fit for EXP if you understand the model of EXP, because it is a fit for everybody. They just have to know how to use it for their own benefit. So you have to get to know them, what their goals are, where they are, how you can connect them, how you can get them into this awesome company, how you can support them in a different way. And so that's what I want to talk about is like, for me, I never wanted to have a traditional team. I ran a great brokerage. I ran a huge expansion team. I ran a coaching company. So I am an influencer. I'm a leader. I'm a coach, and I'm a trainer, but I never wanted to be a traditional team leader. That's why my husband does it. Because it's just not my passion. My passion is not to bring in a group of people and have to have staff and systems and operations and leads and splits. And it's just not what I enjoy doing. I don't want to do it, never have. And so I never did. So I found other ways in which to use my leadership and my skills. And that was, unfortunately, initially, fortunately and unfortunately, it's not, I don't regret any of it. But if you think about it, really, your path today is, okay, I could go lead a brokerage. I could go get a paid position. I could be a team leader of an office or a broker manager, or I could become a coach. That's great opportunity. I could become a trainer. I could become a speaker. But the reality is that a lot of people don't ever really want to kind of either become an employee or do the work to grow those other businesses, right? So the question then becomes, well, how do I use my influence, my skills as a great real estate agent if I don't want to grow a traditional team, if I don't want to build that, if that's not up my alley? And this model is exactly how you can do it. And I wish I would have known this model 10 years ago, because I'd probably have thousands of agents right now compared to 200. The reason why is because this fits me perfectly. I get to come in and still partner with people, help them build their business, show them what I've learned, train, coach, lead, be that, person that can help them. But I don't have to supply them leads. I don't have to supply them staff members, office space, all the operations, all the systems, because I can tap into what EXP already offers, help them do it in their own way that makes sense for them, and not have to charge them a penny for it because the company's paying me to help them. So that's a complete extreme difference of a traditional team. So I want to give you the two extreme options, right? Just be out there, being yourself, showing people the way, being a connector, getting them into a cool company, linking arms with them, helping them with what you know, helping them help each other, get some referrals going back and forth. Just be the collaborator and the influencer and the great real estate agent that you are, and use EXP as literally the model of which to build wealth and an exit strategy on the extreme side. Or on the other extreme side, build a very traditional real estate team inside of this model. And either of them are a better opportunity for you. But what about kind of a hybrid of that? And that's what I want to talk a little bit about today, because I think that what I'm noticing with a lot of my partners across the country is something really cool, which is they've tried the traditional team. They might have even a small traditional team, but there's just still things about it they're not loving. It's not working exactly how they want it to work. It's not as profitable as they think. What about looking at your situation and saying, okay, how could we create a little bit more of a hybrid? Is there a way where we could kind of create it as more of a collaborative group, and maybe they just pay if they use some of our resources? Maybe they just pay a monthly fee to us, or a transaction fee if they use our staff. Maybe we have shared resources that make the financial load light on many. So we have all of these producers that really don't want to be on a traditional team, don't want to lose their branding, but they would like to save some money. They'd like to all share a marketing person. They'd like to all share some office space. They'd like to all share a transaction coordinator. They'd like to be able to share each other's listings and open houses to get more business for themselves. They'd like to collaborate and do some masterminds and help each other. Or they would like to share leads. Maybe you are a team leader who has a lot of leads, a huge database. Maybe you are still converting leads, but you have too many for yourself. And so you think your only way is to build a traditional team. Well, what if you brought other experienced agents over to EXP to be in your collaborative group and asked them if they wanted to have some of these leads and just pay you a referral fee on them? I mean, it's really that simple. What producing agent that is friends with you or likes you or feels, in alignment with you wouldn't say, well, yeah, I'd love to save some money on these expenses, share some resources, have some collaboration, grab some leads from you, pay you a referral fee, and continue to run my business how I like to. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Especially in this market, everybody would want that. So, think about it a little bit differently, because the traditional team also oftentimes seems to attract a lot of newer agents, right? Because they're the ones that go, okay, I'm okay giving up 50% of my commission because I know I need all of this and I need all of that. I need leads. So that's a real common theme. But what if you did it in a different way, to where you're recruiting $2, $3, $4, $5 million producers? Because right now in this market, a $2 to $5 million producer might be struggling a little bit. They might be going down to a few transactions a year to a $2 million producer, right? And they just cut their income in half. That's not good, right? But they know how to sell real estate. They have a database. So they'd be a great person to come in, because they still want to run their business. They know how to, but if they could get some more resources, save some money, convert some leads, make some more money, they'd be a great contributor to a collaborative group. So the collaborative group can be local, it can be regional, it can be national. It's more natural for most of you to do it first locally. And then what will happen is, naturally, you'll start to have referrals of agents regionally, and then it will start to grow nationally. And then you'll just continue to figure out and build, some infrastructure or some ways to connect in different ways. And somebody mentioned that. And at the end of this, I'll kind of share a few tips on that, but that can be, I'll do another actual call on how do you keep people connected throughout the country in this infrastructure, because that's actually a longer topic. And I do a lot of that. And I think that could be valuable to many. So the cool thing, though, is you now open up your opportunity to provide value to more than just one sector of people. You can still use what it is that you have as value, but you can do it in a different way. And quite frankly, it's probably going to be a lot more profitable if you bring producers around you that you only collect maybe a transaction fee from, or a marketing fee from, if they use your resources, and you charge a referral fee. You know why? Because you don't have as much expenses and you have more production, because you have producers selling more real estate. Okay. So if you have a team where people are not selling as much because they're newer, it doesn't matter if they're giving you a higher split, you guys, because they're not doing as much transactions. So if you have more people doing more transactions, and even if you get a smaller percentage, you're making more money. That's my husband's model right now. He's making less money per transaction, but he has 20 some agents, and most of them are all producers. They know how to sell real estate. So if they're selling more real estate per agent, even if they're giving us a little bit less, we're still making more money. And typically we have to have less expenses and also less time, because they're more self-sufficient, right? So we have to look at our dollar per hour rate too, and where we're reallocating that time. Okay, so that's kind of the hybrid option. You can take the traditional team, make some tweaks to the splits because of how we're paid here. You can do something totally extreme and just get a cool group of agents that collaborate together. You do nothing but get paid from the revenue share and EXP, but you have more fun working around people you like, and you let that build over time, or do something kind of in the middle. The reality is, though, you guys, there's more than one way to do this. And in fact, some of the ways that are counterintuitive make us more money, both short-term and long-term. But the only one that's actually going to create an exit strategy for you is one where you're going to get paid long-term for people to stay in production that you train. And that's going to be a revenue sharing model. And there's a couple of us, right? EXP, Real, probably a few others that are going to be showing up. But truly, I don't believe that you're going to be able to find that exit strategy from building a team, that is anyways. You can do it in different ways, of course, in any other model. I just haven't been able to see it work, and I've been coaching with people for years. All right, let's open up. There's a few new people that joined. Chelsea, Marvin. We're talking about teams in a new way, things that I'm seeing, how people are doing this. Please raise your hand or just unmute yourself. Let's talk a little bit about it. What have you heard today according to your situation that was an aha? What questions do you have? Let's start with a little bit of a conversation, because I'd like to see what you guys think about what I'm saying and how it's resonating with you, so we can kind of dive in a little bit more to things that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. For me, I kind of had a hybrid situation. Hey, Cari, it's always great to see you, and I
Hi.
appreciate these lives.
Yeah.
I have a hybrid situation with my team. It mainly consists of mentees. For me, I like working with, scrappy new agents, because I feel like the next, LeBron, the next Brady is out there.
Yep.
But it also has experienced agents as well that want to align for various value add that I'm able to add. So I love that you can kind of build your team out in a whatever way works for you. I think as long as you are consistently adding value, you yourself are producing or putting your team in a position to produce. That's, through a lead bank, as you mentioned, or some other opportunities to help them generate leads. But you build this thing out the way that, it works for you. Just make sure that it works for everyone else.
I love it. So I didn't even mention that, Marvin. So thank you so much. Even if you have been a mentor in past brokerages, if you were a productivity coach at Keller Williams, as an example, many people have been, or if you were chosen to be a mentor in a brokerage that you were part of, you can literally build your revenue share by helping agents. What you have to understand is, if you are bringing in new agents, the statistic is after 2 years, you're probably only going to have about a third of them left in the business. That's just what it is. You can have a little bit of a higher, rate of success, and numbers are just sometimes pretty much numbers, because we would look at the most successful offices and they still had about the same percentage as some of the offices that weren't, because it's just a numbers game and it's a pretty consistent number. And so with that, you just have to know your numbers. You have to be clear on it. You have to know, okay, well, if a third of these people are going to still be here in 5 years, then I can kind of factor that in for my long-term revenue share wealth building for all the work I'm doing now. And if I have 15 mentees and they're all selling 7 houses a year, which is average in our stats, this is how much I'm going to make on the splits for the actual mentorship. And is that making sense for you financially? And is it also making sense for them? And do you enjoy it? Right? Those are the big questions. I mean, those are the things. Does it work for them? Does it work for me? Do I enjoy it? Does it fit what I want to be doing in my life?
And
So
one more thing,
Mhm.
I want to add to that mentor conversation is, dead weight. I know that some folks do real estate full time, some folks do some part time, some do it sometime. But I feel like the other side of the coin of working
Mhm.
with newer agents, which tend to be the agents that join teams because they want to learn and want to, gain value, all that, is if you're dealing with an agent that's not at least meeting 70 to 80% of their obligations and they don't have a valid reason why,
Mhm.
that's a conversation you need to have with them. And if the answers don't really make sense, don't tether yourself to someone just because you think that they just need a little bit of pushing. Sometimes you do them a better service by letting them go than holding on to them.
100%. Absolutely. We have the referral division. Some people that are part-time might find that it's just better for them to stay connected to you and your group, get in the referral division, save themselves the money if they can't put the time and effort into it, but still make some referrals from you or the other agents in the group. And you can facilitate some pretty cool opportunities as regards to that as well. But really, yeah, what makes sense for you, what really does make sense for them, and having those real conversations is very important. But as you can hear, you can be a mentor and build revenue share growth and your team, and in a self-organized way. I mean, you can even do a standard team and have it be kind of more like a mentorship program, so they can take advantage of a lower split while they're doing the mentorship with you for a period of time. There's a lot of really creative ways. I've got a lot of people doing things differently, where they are providing, coaching and training and mentorship for a certain amount of transactions. They're taking a split, they're bringing them onto a team, but then they know they're graduating off of it. There's a time frame in which they're graduating off of it. Great. They move to the full cap. They're still in your revenue share. You still pour into them in a different way. And then you make room for the next group coming coming in. And then it becomes a well-oiled machine where you can live in your strength zone, you can be helping people, and then they can be flying into their own future of real estate. So I love that. Chelsea, were you gonna mention something? I saw you had unmuted.
I just started my team literally this week, so just trying to figure out what I'm doing. So,
I love it. Well, I think
I was never on a team, so I'm definitely learning.
So definitely go back into EXP Family Tree, the workplace group, and watch the beginning of this call, because I did talk a lot about the traditional team and the pros and the cons and the ways that you could do it. Because I think you came on a little bit late. If you have a minute, maybe watch the first 20 minutes of that. And I'm going to be doing a few more of these real estate team kind of Q&A. And so watch for that, because as you're growing it, that would probably be helpful.
Yeah, I'm doing a self-organized team. So I already have 2 people that have committed to joining. One is officially in the team, and then the other one we're adding this week. So
nice. Awesome. Love it. Congrats. Matthew.
Hey, I was just going to say, you talk fast. I thought I talked fast, but I was watching you on double speed video, YouTube video. Like, did somebody just increase the speed?
Yeah, don't do double speed. That'd be bad.
No, that's what you were. You were talking.
I think double speed.
Yeah, I was like,
me. I'm like,
wow. I was like, is this Cari or is this an AI? Because she's like not even breathing. But anyways,
I don't breathe.
I was on a call yesterday too, where they talked about how EXP is really just trying to enhance all the teams and programs for people. Yes. And I don't know, I've never had a team, and I know you mentioned your husband does, and I know there's the 8,000 cap or the 4,000 cap. But I know yesterday what they considered a mega team was 10 members at least, and you were doing 40 million and 175 units. Right. Now they did so you could either do 40 million, because people were doing 80 million, but with only 100 units because it was. So that, I think with that though, if you have a team different structure, as long as you reach out to our growth partners, the leaders, and ask them, hey, we're trying to do this, and they make exceptions for people and they try to help people out, stuff like that. So
oh yeah, absolutely. You're still going to need to have 10 capping agents, meaning that if you're going to try to get to a mega icon team where you can offer that $4,000 cap, that all 10 of those other agents besides you, 10 plus you, which equals 11. The big caveat is that those would be doing enough transactions to cap, but you guys, to cap at 4,000, it's only a few transactions usually. So if all of your agents can do a few transactions a year, and you can, get up to your 40 million. If you have a high average sell price, might not be that many units, or the 175, in our lower average sell price areas, that is a great benefit to be able to offer that 4,000. But remember, there's pros and cons to everything, because you could be doing a self-organized team, and having them all be 16,000, charging them less splits and making more money from the company. Or you could be reducing the split for them so that they pay less to the company, but you're going to be making virtually nothing in revenue share, and you're probably going to be doing a higher split to them. It's like, you guys, you have to make the money from somewhere if you're going to offer solutions, value, time to people. It can't be 100% free, and you have to make some money. So it's interesting, because some people are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do a self-organized team because everybody has to come in at a $16,000 cap. Well, first of all, do the math and figure out what is a $16,000 cap in your area. On average, it's like 6 to 8 sales. You guys, the average real estate agent in the nation does 7. So, okay, do the average amount of transactions, and you're going to be a capping agent. You'll move to 100% for a few transactions. And if they take advantage of healthcare, oftentimes they're saving anywhere from $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000. So their cap really isn't 16,000. On top of that, they're going to get, if they opt into the agent equity program, at least a few $1,000s from their own money of the transactions they do. And they have $85 a month and probably can reduce some other expenses. So you guys, it's not all about the cap. So the $16,000 cap, if you were able to say to people, we'll keep all of your own transactions, or pay me 10% on your personal transactions to use some of my staff and some of my resources, or for my coaching. And then if I give you a lead, it's going to be 35% referral fee. They aren't going to care that they pay the company $16,000, because they're paying you very little, as opposed to if you're going to be charging them 50 or 40% on every transaction. The reason the caps are reduced, you guys, for teams, is so that you can explain to them the value of your split. Do you guys understand that? The reason that team caps even came into existence, whether it was the 4 or 8,000, was because team leaders were saying, look, we're giving all of these things to our agents. Because we're giving all these things, we have to collect a split on every transaction, traditionally 50%. It could be 50, 40, 30, whatever you're charging. But in order for the agent to feel good about that, they don't also want to pay a full cap to the brokerage, because now they're paying $16,000 brokerage, $40,000 to me in splits a year. Doesn't make sense. So the brokerage is saying, okay, you're pouring into your agents on your team. You're providing all of this value. So we're going to reduce our obligation for the agent to the brokerage because you're giving them so much to offset your split so that you can sell that and you can have people join your team. But because we're offering them that reduced, you have to split with them on every transaction, because otherwise what would happen, you guys? Everybody would say they had a team and bring everybody over on a $4,000 cap, right? And the company would lose a bunch of money. So it doesn't really matter. Either do the self-organized and then just offer lower splits, because you don't have to offer as much as a team leader in a self-organized, and who you're recruiting probably don't require as much. So therefore they're still keeping more money and you're still making some. Or decide to put a bunch of money and effort and time into a traditional team, take more splits from each transaction and have the split lower, but you're going to get less revenue share from that, but you're going to get more splits. But on the other side, you're going to get more revenue share and less splits. You see what I'm saying? It's still all going to be the money. It just depends on which way you want to go. It depends on which way your leadership is leading you and what you want to build and who you want to attract as the agent at the end of the day. Okay. But the beauty of this is you can and should be doing both. So this is how I want to end the call. You can and should be doing both. If you already have a traditional team or some sort of hybrid of a traditional team or a standard team where you are doing some splits and offering some leads and still having branding, whatever you decide to do, doesn't matter what kind. There are going to be people you meet that don't want to be part of that, but should still be part of your world at EXP. So what does your upline offer? What does EXP Family Tree offer? I offer everything in EXP Family Tree that I do. So even if you're not under me, you can utilize these calls as benefit, right? That's the beauty of this company. There's so many different certifications that they can plug into. There's so many different workplace groups they can plug into. There's their local broker teams that do trainings every week that people don't ever plug into, and they exist and they're there and they're helpful. There are so many things. KV Core, your lead generation system, all the things. So just because somebody doesn't want to join your team, whatever that looks like, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be part of EXP. And so you should be simultaneously growing your revenue share as an agent owner and your team, whatever that looks like, should funnel more people into your revenue share as they graduate out of your team. This should be a training ground for people to go into your revenue share, so that this is what is going to build you wealth long-term. This is what's going to make you money short-term. So, and every recruiting conversation, every co-op agent you talk to, everybody you know in real estate, everybody that's getting into real estate, should be a conversation that could either join the team or come over to EXP with you. And so the only thing that I would encourage you is, if people don't join your team, you know what your value proposition of your team is, right? That's something that we learn, is we have to know, what is the value proposition? Why are people joining? What's our mission vision? What kind of things do they get if they join us? What are their splits? You got that down. Well, what if they don't want to be in that? What do they get over here? What do they get at EXP Realty? What do they get from you just as a partner of theirs? What do they get from your upline? You have to know those things, because otherwise you can't talk about the two options when you meet with people. And you can't also show the people that start on your team what their next path is. So if you haven't devised those two things, I'd encourage you to get that second thing down, because now you're growing a huge opportunity to do what you want to do now and to turn it into something later, so that in 5 years you have $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 of revenue share coming into your account for retirement. Because that's what you're a leader in real estate for, is not only to win now and feel purposeful now and make money now, but also to figure out a way where you no longer have to chase every real estate transaction for the rest of your life. And to date, there hasn't been a team model that has allowed people to do that. This model has thousands of proven situations. And if you don't know about that, want to learn more about them, I can make many, many introductions to you, because you have to know it's true and believe in it. And it truly is. And it happens in different ways. There's no right or wrong way. You just, again, have to find the way that you're going to do it, stay consistent with it, give it the 5+ years. 5 years is a really, really good time. Most people I know that have been in this company doing something consistently, growing their team, growing their revenue share for about 5 years, that's where they really, really start to see the breakthrough of 5 figures a month. and consistency of that. So time is a part of our revenue share model, but you're going to be growing your team for the next 5 years, I'm sure. And selling real estate, most of us are, because if we don't have an exit strategy, we have to be, even if we don't want to be. Remember the agent equity program, the stock awards. These are things that you can pull out, go put that into investment properties, build wealth in another way, start another business. You know, we started, we're doing investing. We started a co-working space, you know, other business entities that are synergistic with this so that we can diversify. And if we wouldn't be at EXP, we would not have the money to do that. And so as you start to build this, then what's next for you? And I think it's important to think about that, because that's how you truly are able to build wealth and make what you do work for you in multiple ways. And this model is exactly what that's for, is that if you make money here, it brings you money in these different ways too. What are you going to do with that? You know, that question is worth asking yourself, because if you don't do anything with it, it's not helping you either. So, all right. So any last questions or thoughts? And if there's something specific you want to learn about when it comes to teams, if you want to chat those in the chat area for me, I'm going to come on here and do these regularly. And I will take the topics and the questions that you have and bring them forth as the, you know, the topics that I want to talk about, because there's so much we can talk about teams. Like this can be hours and hours and hours. I also would love to get into the micro team model, because I believe we're reverting back to micro teams. I'm actually coaching multiple of them. It's really fascinating. This used to be how teams started, was smaller teams, super efficient, small, high producing teams. And then we got into this model of huge teams. And now people are bringing it back to micro teams. And if you're in the EXP model, you can have micro teams and you can build your revenue share and have them both be very synergistic. So like, there's super cool things we can be talking about, you guys. Matthew, do you have something to add?
No, I thought, oh, am I on mute? Sorry about that. No,
That's
very
okay,
good.
I thought you did.
What?
Okay.
I was like, wait,
Yeah.
did she hear me? No, so that's good. So real quick, like on your husband's team, then you said he has like 30 members.
Yeah.
Right. And then some are on the 4% or $4,000.
They all are.
They're all on the 4. So he makes his money because he charges more of a split or less, like
30%. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's still not
Everything.
bad though. 30% is not bad because people are paying 50.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Well, we changed from 50 to 30 when we moved to EXP, because we knew that we would make money from the stock on the agent equity program and all the transactions the agents did, plus the gifted stock, the 16,000 every year, plus the 400 on every person we recruit to the team on their first transaction. Like, we knew we would be making money on the stock off of the transactions and the growth of the team. We also knew we'd be making some revenue share on the team. You know, it's about $12,000 a year. Think about that. It's a quarter of the 2,800. Right. And, but it's times 30 agents.
Yeah.
So we're still making some money there. So we're definitely getting paid, but then the agents are bringing us their friends. We're helping them recruit to the model so that they can have some revenue share, which gives us revenue share. And then we're also opening up, if we're talking to people and the team isn't for them, they're joining us at EXP because we have another value proposition. So we're building revenue share alongside the team splits, alongside the, revenue share from the team and outside the team, alongside stock. So if you know the model and you understand it, you can pass those savings on to agents on your team. But you know, you have to understand it and know the numbers. And I'm happy to go through those with people if they want to as well. And maybe we'll do a couple of calls specifically just on the numbers. So very much like to learn systems to plug agents into that they attract so that they can support them. Perfect. So to clarify, Sherry, are those agents that are all over the country? Are those agents on a traditional team or more of a self-organized kind of team, or just in a revenue share organization, just to understand? Sherry, are you there? Yes, all over the country as opposed to local. Okay, cool. That's exactly what I do. So I will do a call on that because I've got 230 agents in 27 states. So I can break down exactly the different value proposition, Sherry, for sure.
Thank you. And if there's any systems that you recommend, because that's my whole, you know, I don't want to spend time recruiting or attracting other agents from different places and not be able to help them.
That's right. Yeah. So I'll do, I will have my session that I'm going to be doing next be specifically on systems of supporting local and across the country, because I can do that simultaneously in an hour call. So I can make that my next call, because I was thinking about that. And somebody said they'd like to talk more about lead sources that we may not know about that we can send to them. Absolutely. So that's part of the systems. So I'll do the systems, which include some lead sources, both within EXP as well as outside of EXP, what I see people doing, how they do it when it's local, when it's not local, and just things to plug people into for sure. That's a great question. Anything else as we wrap up that somebody would want me to add to the next call?
No, I think that was really good. I love
Okay.
your background in all that building teams because you really have that knowledge. So that taking it and then understanding the XP platform, I think really can help people establish teams in a good way and get a good foundation from the beginning so that they can maximize like the stock, the revenue, the split, all that.
Yes, yes. That's really my forte because of where I came from. I think, I understand those things so much just doing it in a different model. So, by the way, this is going to be out on my YouTube channel. If you just search my name under YouTube, you'll see this. It should be out by this evening, for sure by tomorrow. If you know somebody who has a team and they are not within EXP, they may find this valuable. Sending them a video where nobody knows they're watching it and nobody's going to, try to recruit them. It may be very helpful to them. I mean, truly, I'm passionate about getting the word out on this because people just don't understand. They don't understand how literally moving from one brokerage to another could change their lives to the tune of 6 figures, multiple 6 figures in 2 years for my husband and I, doing the exact same thing we did somewhere else. And people do not understand that they can do that. So please pass this on, find it on my YouTube channel because then anybody can watch it. If you are here within EXP, you can go watch this live stream on EXP Family Tree as well, because it'll be there forever. So thanks you guys for joining me. Watch for my next session. I will do that beginning of January, and we will talk about systems, lead generation tools and resources, local and national or even international growth. How do you provide opportunity to people if you're building a team, a network, a collaborative group, a revenue share organization? And so we'll break that down. So tell your friends, just mark your, keep it in the top of your mind to take a peek out, look at EXP Family Tree. That's where I'll promote this if you're with an EXP. And if you don't follow me on Facebook, please do, because I always post my stuff out on my Facebook page. So thanks you guys so much. Have a great holiday season. By the way, we are doing another Wednesday call next week and the following week. So we have 2 more, then we'll take a break for the rest of the year. It's at the same time, same Zoom link. So join us every Wednesday if you guys feel called to do so. Thanks so much, you guys. Talk to you soon.